Today, we have an opportunity to advance to the World Series. But our season could also end today. We've got games 5 and 6 of the NLCS on tap against Atlanta. We'll see if third time's the charm and we can finally get over the hump against these guys, or if they beat us again, or if we're headed to a game 7. So we split games 3 and 4 in the last episode, losing game 3 by the score of 6-4. The offense really started off strong, but we did not get enough late. The top of the order did really well. The bottom half of the order, not so much. Mason Miller showed us some good things through the first 3 innings, minus allowing a pair of home runs by Gunnar Henderson, but it just fell apart there in the 4th inning. And then going into game 4, we realized we had to win, and it started off poorly. We were down 3-0, but I could tell in that 3rd inning we were starting to get some good things going offensively, and then it happened. 3-run homer by Jose Ramirez in the 4th. We added 3 more runs in the 5th. Fernando Molina wasn't great. He wasn't horrible. The defense certainly let him down, and if not for a pair of errors, you can make the case that none of those runs end up scoring, and then the bullpen was able to do a great job of shutting the door. One of the biggest storylines of this postseason has been the play of Jung-Hoo Lee. 1.1 batting WAR, very clearly in first place in the NL. Pretty much tripled behind second place on our team. I'm pretty sure the rest of our position players combined have a postseason WAR of less than 1.1, and we need some guys to step up. Brendan Donovan, Stone Garrett, Munetaka Murakami. Those players are not doing enough for us. Donovan struggled last year in the postseason, and he's struggling again. Murakami was our best hitter this year, and I will say I think he's gotten a little bit better as the postseason's gone along, but he's still not doing enough. And then Stone Garrett, who is so reliable, so clutch, has not been the case at all. For better or worse, we will be starting our 2 best starters today with Sandy Alcantara in Game 5 and Kyle Harrison in Game 6. Even though both of these guys, Sandy in particular, have taken their lumps throughout the postseason, I feel confident in them that they'll be able to deliver and hopefully get us over the hump once and for all and send us to the World Series for the first time in this series. So that starts here with Game 5 in Atlanta, and I feel like this is a really important one. Each of the last 2 years when we lost to Atlanta in the NLCS, we lost in 6 games, and I feel like both of those series were very consistent in terms of how they played out and obviously how they ended. Letting the Braves get up 3-2 would be a death sentence for us, in my opinion, because we have not shown the ability to come from behind in series against this team. So we've really got to put our best foot forward today. And yes, it is a little risky starting a guy in Sandy Alcantara, who we have had start 5 postseason games for us in this series, and he has been good in 1 of them. Here's a look at both lineups, and here's a look at Michael King, the 2027 Cy Young winner. He has not pitched at all in the postseason, and I'm curious to see how he's going to do today because of that. He's been able to rest the arm for a few weeks, but he's also rested for a few weeks and hasn't played. This is a double-edged sword that could go either way. Here's Jung-Hoo Lee batting .600 in the postseason. Here he goes again, an opposite field single here in the top of the 1st inning. Regular day in the office to open things up for Jung-Hoo Lee. And so he is aboard with 1 away. That'll bring up Ian Happ, who quietly has had a pretty good but not great postseason. Up the middle into center for a hit. Lee digs for 3rd, and the throw is offline. If that throw is on the mark, I think Ezokar timed it well enough to where they could have gotten the out. But we take the risk. It pays off. And look at this. 2 early base runners on the corners. A great opportunity to strike first. And it's arguably the most clutch player on the roster, Blake Sabol, who immediately puts it on the ground. 6-4-3, inning-ending double play, and we score 0. If we lose this game and it's close, that's one of the plays where we're going to look back on and say, damn, we could have really done something there. So here is Sandy Alcantara getting the start, and as we get later and later in the postseason, he's going to have fewer opportunities to pitch, and if we don't win this series, this will be his last start of the playoffs, so it's now or never to change the narrative as he strikes out Christian Arroyo. That'll bring up Ronald Acuna, only hitting .212 here in October, and he chases the slider for strike 3. That's a good start. Strikes out a pair. Nobody reaches base. Obviously, it's one inning, so I don't want to get too excited. But in what I think is by far his most important game as a Giant, that's a good way to begin it as Murakami hits this one high and deep in the left. Back at the track, it is gone! Solo shot for Munetaka Murakami. And the San Francisco Giants are on the board first. It's 1-0. We've been waiting for the big swings from Murakami, who led the National League in home runs this year, second in the MVP race behind Shane Bieber, and we finally get him to take 1 yard, and so the Giants lead it 1-0. One away here for Jose Ramirez. Count is even, 1-1, and this one is skied high and deep and a right. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! A solo shot for Jose Ramirez. And it's 2-0 San Francisco. I really wanted to set the tone in this game. Get some early runs across and put ourselves in a position to where we're able to play from ahead. And that's exactly what we're doing here in this second inning. Ramirez's third home run of the postseason. Leody Taveras now lines this one into left, and the base runners are going to keep on coming. A one-out single for the Giants, who are looking to potentially add some more runs with what's already a pretty nice starting point with this 2-0 lead. It's Brendan Donovan who's up. He has not had a good month of October at all, hitting 130, but he draws a walk. Good at bat, and so now there's 2 runners on base for the top of the order. What an opportunity for these guys to deliver, and that'll start with Tommy Rogers. He's had some big hits throughout the postseason, but he goes down looking on the sinker. And that'll bring up Jung-Hoo Lee, who's been the best player in baseball this postseason. Can he deliver again? That's a fair ball! Everybody's moving! Taveras will score! Donovan is out at third, and that'll end the inning. But the Giants add another run as Jung-Hoo Lee delivers yet another opposite field hit to pair with multiple home runs. One from Murakami, one from J-Ram, a 3-0 lead going into the bottom of the second. This is exactly what we needed, and now it's time for Sandy Alcantara to show what he's made of as he gets Austin Riley to go down looking. That'll bring up Ozzie Albies. Of course, he has not had a good postseason either, has had some nice swings against us, though. And he goes down looking on the slider. 2 perfect innings to start for Sandy Alcantara, and as we know with this Braves lineup, things can change quickly, but again, it's hard not to be encouraged with what we've seen so far as he has struck out 4. Blake Sabol draws a walk here in the top of the third, so he is on with 1 away. Michael King really has not been very good so far. He's throwing walks, he's allowing a lot of hard hits. He just does not look very good right now, but he does strike out Murakami on the 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and away, just his second strikeout of the game. Stone Garrett now 1-1, lines this one into right. It is caught by Acuna, so Atlanta's able to make this inning a little bit more smoother than the last couple, but it will remain 3-0, and we'll see if the Braves offense can get anything going here in the rain. Matt Olson starts things off, 367 average, but he chases the low 12-6 curve. What a filthy pitch by Sandy Alcantara, who his stuff has just been nasty throughout this entire game so far. The Braves are whiffing at just about everything. Full count for Azokar, he draws a walk, and the Braves finally get their first base runner. It takes them an entire trip through the order. Gunnar Henderson now, 2 homers off of Mason Miller back in Game 3 as he pops this one into center. Hit fairly well, but it's caught by Leody Taveras. The Braves get their first base runner, but have no hits through 3 innings. It's great to see Sandy Alcantara producing so far, as that will send us into the 4th. Jose Ramirez homered a couple innings ago, and here he goes down looking on the sinker. It's been a rough one for King, but he's gotten the sinker low to fool some of these Giants batters. He's got to keep going to it if possible. Full count for Donovan. It's the sinker again, jams him inside, pops it into center, caught by Jose Azokar. And it seems like Michael King is starting to pitch a little bit better. Those first 2 innings did not go well. Since then, he's only allowed 1 base runner over the last 2 frames. But it might not matter if Atlanta's offense does not wake up. 2 away. Riley up the middle. Brendan Donovan makes the play. Throw to first is in time. Another 1-2-3 inning for Sandy Alcantara, who's now through 4 scoreless innings. And it's looking like the first couple of innings were not a mirage, and he is having himself a night. Pitching change for Atlanta. Cade Cooler is in On one hand, I get taking Michael King out because he hasn't been very good today. But on the other hand, he's gotten a lot better as the game has gone along. So the timing is certainly a little surprising as Tommy Rogers goes down on the low slider. Tommy's been one of the few guys on offense to not do much of anything so far. That'll bring up Jung-Hoo Lee, 2 for 2. Count is even at 2-2, and he hits it up the middle for his single. I mean, the run that he is going on right now is historic. He was hitting .600 coming into the game. He is now 3 for 3. I mean, the dude is just completely raking. This is an unprecedented level of offense as he goes for second and is out. Wow, what a play there by Atlanta. I don't think Jung-Hoo Lee timed that poorly. It was just a really good throw and a really good tag applied in the perfect time. Ian Happ chases the high fastball. That was not your pitch, buddy. And Cade Kuehler makes it through the 5th. It remains 3-0. Will this be the inning where Atlanta gets something going off of Sandy Alcantara? As it's O'Neal Cruz who gets things started. He's been good throughout the postseason, but here he goes down looking on the high fastball. One of the downsides of being 6'7" is that the strike zone for you is awfully big. After one of the league's tallest players, we've got one of the shortest, Ozzie Albies, who gets this one by the diving glove of Jose Ramirez. It'll roll all the way to the wall and left. The shift does not play out to our favor at all, and it's going to be a double for Ozzie Albies, and the Atlanta Braves finally get their first hit of the game. It took them over 4 innings, but they've finally done it, and we'll see if they can try to put themselves back into the game. Olsen got him looking on the 12-6. Great pitch by Sandy Alcantara, his 7th punch out of the game, as that's going to bring up the number 8 hitter, Sean Murphy, who only has 2 hits in the NLCS so far. 3-2, got him looking again! The 12-6 curve strikes once more. 5 scoreless innings for Sandy Alcantara, who is in the process of saving our season right now. Who would have thought? Sabol chases the slider. Again, that was not your pitch, buddy. Kuehler's 3rd punch out of the afternoon. That'll bring up Munetaka Murakami. Of course, had the home run earlier. Count is even, and he strikes out again on the high fastball. That pitch was pretty much the exact same location where he struck out earlier, back in the 4th. Stone Garrett now has not picked it up from his postseason struggles. He's 0 for 2 so far. Ahead 3-1, jams it up the middle, but he doesn't hit it overly hard as it's caught by Ozzie Albies. I've got to say, I think Cade Kuehler's pitched a pretty good game so far, and ever since the 2nd inning, our offense really has not done anything. But it hasn't mattered because Sandy Alcantara is pitching so darn good. As Azokar chases the 12-6, and that continues to be his best pitch. Goes for the fastball. Gunnar Henderson goes down looking. We'll see if he can make it 5 punch-outs in a row. It's Arroyo, the 2-2. Checks his swing. That pitch was right down the middle. I don't know what he was waiting for. 6 unbelievably dominant innings of one-hit ball. Talk about changing the narrative. As Johan Ramirez comes out of the bullpen here for the 7th. Johnny Hackman, 3-2, draws a walk. So Hackman comes off the bench, gets on base, and we'll see if San Francisco can score for the first time since the 2nd inning. 3-1 for Tommy Rogers. This ball is hit well into left. And San Francisco adds to the lead. It's now 5-0. Tommy Rogers has not hit for consistent contact throughout the playoffs, but man, he has swung for power. His 4th home run of the postseason here in just 8 games. That mark leads the team, and it's 5-0 Giants. This gives us a little more breathing room in case of a pitching implosion. Not that Atlanta's offense has given us any signs that that's going to happen. Jung-Hoo Lee looking for hit number 4 as he hits it into left. This ball is caught, but a good inning. We had 2 more with a 2-run shot by Tommy Rogers. As that brings us to the bottom of the 7th. Sandy Alcantara is not slowing down. We're going to keep him in there, try to conserve our bullpen for as long as possible. And with how well Sandy's pitching, let's keep the hot hand rolling. His pitch count is at 100 right now. Acuna draws a walk. Finally a base runner here for Atlanta. And after that, the umpires are going to talk this one over with the manager. This game is going into a 45-minute rain delay. So because of that, we will make a pitching switch. Genesis Cabrera is going to come into the game. He's pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings this postseason. It sucks to take Sandy out, but with all that time sitting, I just don't think it's practical to keep him in. Dribbler from Riley. Ramirez hesitates on the throw, and so he wasn't really sure if he wanted to go for the double play or get the out at first. But now both runners are safe, and there's 2 on with nobody out. O'Neal Cruz draws a walk. Bases are loaded, and things are getting funky quickly as Cabrera lets on a pair of runners. 3-1 for Albies. Another walk. Run scores. That earned run goes against Sandy Alcantara. No shutout for him. And we're going to go back to the bullpen. Cabrera lets up 3 base runners, and I feel like we've got to yank him. There's no pitcher in this bullpen who I trust more right now than the Mountain. Felix Bautista. With the tying run up, we need him to come up clutch as this one's on the ground. Murakami to Donovan. Back to Murakami. It's a double play. The run at third does score, and we could have sent the throw home for the force out. But I like our chances more turning 2, as that brings up Murphy, who hits it on the ground. It's a dribbler. Happ charges. Throw to first. In time. And all things considered, this inning could have gone a lot worse. Yes, we allowed 2 runs, but they had the bases loaded there with nobody out and only got 1. And they got him off of the double play. Blake Burkhalter is in for Atlanta here in the 8th. 5.4 ERA in 4 postseason games. As he starts things off with Blake Sabol, 0 for 2 with a walk today. As Sabol hits it up the middle and a nice scoop at the mound. A Blake on Blake crime. And Burkhalter ends up winning that one. Murakami strikes out for a 3rd time in this one as he chases the changeup. Hard to be upset with his performance considering he had the home run, but his approach at the plate just still does not seem right. We're going to keep Bautista in for the bottom of the 8th as he gets Jose Azocar to go down looking on the 101-mile-an-hour fastball. 2 away, 2-2 for Arroyo. Swinging a miss on the splitter. There's nothing like watching Felix Bautista shove these batters into lockers. He is unbelievably dominant and has been a rock star this postseason as we go to the 9th. Penn Murphy, the 2026 reliever of the year, is in for Atlanta. He's let up 4 runs in 6 postseason innings so far. With 2 away, Johnny Hackman draws his 2nd walk of the game. He's 1 for 10 in the postseason, but he's reached base twice in this one. Kyler Rodriguez comes off the bench, grounder to Albies. He's going to quickly make it to second, tags the base in time, and that'll wrap up the top of the 9th. We've got 5 runs on the board, but I feel like the offense hasn't given us our best night. Nonetheless, the Braves had the heart of the order coming up against Camilo Doval, who just does not need to allow 3. Doval's one of the best closers in baseball, but he's had his postseason struggles against the Braves, particularly some of their best hitters. Acuna goes down on the slider. There's 1. There's no player Doval has had more trouble with than Austin Riley. He was the one who hit the walk-off in Game 6 to send the Braves to the World Series last year. He hit the big home run late in Game 1, but he grounds this one to third. And the throw is offline! Munetaka Murakami with a throwing error. We've started him at first today, but with bringing Kyler Rodriguez in, we've shifted around the defense, and he is charged with an error. O'Neal Cruz! Base hit into right center field. Both runners looking for an extra base, and both runners are safe. So all of a sudden, the tying run is at the plate. This really isn't Doval's fault due to the throwing error, but now things get really interesting. Albies 2-2. Ooh, that's a close call, but a good take from Ozzie Albies, and the count is full. We certainly don't want to walk him, but we can't give him anything too good. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss! On the sinker, he swung way too early there. And now it comes down to Matt Olson, another guy who's had some big hits against us in the postseason, and it will not be against Camilo Doval. It's nothing against Doval, but I would rather get the lefty-on-lefty matchup in, and I think Jojo Romero is pretty much just as good as Doval. 1-1 for Olson. Swinging a miss on the circle change, and Atlanta's down to their last strike. I wanted to get Romero in to give the Braves the worst possible chance of getting a big hit. And sure enough, he swings and misses at the cutter. Giants win Game 5, and we will return home to Oracle Park, needing to win just 1 of the last 2 games to advance to the World Series. What a performance from the pitching. Sandy Alcantara was absolutely terrific. And again, I don't think the offense played that well. Yes, we scored 5 runs, which isn't that low of a number. But overall, I don't think we hit the ball that well. We looked really good the first couple of innings. We got some runners on in the first. We had the big second inning. But other than that, we did not do a good job of getting runners on base. in the innings following that, and the only runs we got afterwards was the home run by Rogers in the 7th. Now, if not for that play, I think the 9th inning would have been a whole lot more stressful. So I'm happy we had that as some add-in insurance because we almost needed it. Sandy Alcantara was a man on a mission today. 6 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, only let up the 1 earned run, and it wasn't really his fault. It was because of the rain delay. Genesis Cabrera struggled, but the back-end bullpen of doom finished off the job. Bautista, Duvall, Romero, tough as nails. Michael Cain did not have a great start, but he pitched better as the game went along. I think the bullpen was honestly pretty good for Atlanta, and I don't think you can blame the pitching for the loss. The offense sucked. Plain and simple. So with that, it is 3-2. Overall, the road trip to Atlanta was a success. We win 2 out of 3 games, and now we return home with the lead in the series, and all we've got to do is win 1 more. But the Braves got their 2 best pitchers ready to go. The Cy Young and MVP winner, Shane Bieber, on the mound in Game 6, and if they do win this one, they've got Spencer Strider ready for Game 7. Whereas we have kind of thrown our best pitchers in now. Sandy Alcantara will not be available for the rest of this series. Kyle Harrison's going to go tonight, so if we were to lose this game, he obviously would not go Game 7, unless he gets hurt or something today and then comes back in for Game 7. But knowing what we know from Sandy Alcantara in the Marlins series, that would not be a very good idea. So regardless, let's try to not have to make a big decision in terms of who pitches Game 7 by winning Game 6 and advancing to the World Series. Kyle Harrison on the mound. He has led up 4 postseason runs in 10 innings so far. No decisions in both games. Harrison's had some really good playoff outings and some really not so good ones. Jose Azocar up the middle. That one goes for a base hit. And so Atlanta has an early base runner, something that they struggled to do in the last game. It took them nearly 5 innings to get a hit. The Braves are playing for their season right now. They know they can't let up. They've got to push all their cards to the front as Ronald Acuna strikes out again. His struggles continue. They're going to need some big swings from Austin Riley, who's given them a lot over the last couple of years, but not this time. He strikes out on the slider. Pretty good first inning for Kyle Harrison. And as you can see, Oracle Park is ramped up. Everybody's on their seats as the Giants look to clinch a spot in the World Series for the first time in nearly 15 years. But it's going to be against the MVP, Shane Bieber, who's had a historically good season. Strikes out Tommy Rogers to start on the fastball. The Braves are counting on Bieber to have an MVP-esque performance. He hasn't lived up to the standard so far in the postseason, but again, he can change the narrative tonight. Ian Happ with 2 away draws a walk. Believe it or not, Jung-Hoo Lee did not reach base on his first at-bat. I know, surprising. Munetaka Murakami now homered in the last game, hits it up the middle. Albies fields it cleanly. Throw to first is in time. So both teams get an early runner in the first, but are not really able to do much with it. And with how both offenses struggled in Game 5, I'm curious to see if we end up with a pitching duel. These are 2 phenomenal arms as Olsen strikes out. Harrison's 3rd of the game, looking for his 4th with Teoscar Hernandez, who pops this one up into foul territory, and it looks like Murakami should be under it and will make the play. Hernandez only starts against lefties, so with Harrison on the bump, he's getting the start in this game, and the Braves are hoping he can light a spark for them, as that brings up Blake Sabol in the bottom of the 2nd. Thought he drew a walk. Umpire says, not so fast, buddy. Calls him out on strikes, and that pitch did look like it was a little outside of the zone, but Angel Hernandez thinks otherwise. Jose Ramirez goes down looking as well. It's been Bieber fever through 2. Shane Bieber looks like the MVP, but Kyle Harrison is playing just as well. Sean Murphy draws a walk to start the 3rd. There's a base runner for Atlanta. We'll see if they can do any damage with him. As that brings up Gunnar Henderson with 1 away. Lefty on lefty. Swing and a miss on the fastball. Nice pitch by Harrison, who still has only allowed the 1 hit so far. That was to probably the worst offensive player in this lineup. Jose Azocar looking for another hit. It's sent into right, but Rogers tracks it down, makes the play. It's nice having outfielders who can run. Obviously, Tommy's known for his speed, but all the other outfielders as well, maybe not as fast as him, but they can all move. Speaking of Tommy, here he is in the bottom of the 3rd. Hits this ball high and pretty deep into left center. Not enough on it, though. It's caught by O'Neal Cruz. So the Braves only have one hit, but we have none so far. Both offenses, who struggled at the end of Game 5, have found a way to be even worse so far in this game. Acuna grounds it to short. Donovan bobbles it. Throw to first is in time! Good recovery by Brendan Donovan. That's not an easy play to make after the ball is already on the ground against one of the faster guys in the league. 2 away. Albies. Chopper to third. J-Ram makes the play. Throw to first is in time. And through 4 innings, Kyle Harrison is balling. That'll bring us to the bottom of the 4th. 3-1 for Murakami. He draws a walk. Good at bat. Good to finally see him not trying to do too much at the plate, waiting for a good pitch to come, and if he doesn't get it, draw the walk. Sable to first. Olsen gets it off his glove and will tag the runner. That works. I assumed he was going to try to make a play at the base, but he had the better angle to tag Sable. Still no hits through 4 innings. Absolutely pathetic. Right now, both offenses are wasting some unbelievable performances by these pitchers. As Matt Olson singles into right, the first base hit from either team since the top of the 1st inning. We are now in the 5th. Again, absolutely pathetic display of offense as Teoscar Hernandez chases the low circle change for out number 1. Harrison's 5th strikeout of the game. He's had some nice swing and miss stuff in this game, but he hasn't relied on it. The Braves are just not hitting his pitches well. Murphy somehow finds a way to swing in a pitch even lower. I mean, are these guys coming up to the plate with blindfolds on? Gonna look to go with the circle change again. I'm surprised O'Neal Cruz actually hit it. But Donovan makes the play. Another strong inning from Kyle Harrison. He does let up a hit, but nothing more. Still scoreless through 5. Let's see if Stone Garrett can get something going. It's been a rough month of October for him, and sure enough, he swings and misses at the low slider. I don't know what the deal with him is. He's usually so consistent. Jose Ramirez goes down on the circle change. Do both of these teams think the strike zone is in the dirt? I mean, what is with all the swinging at these low pitches? Tyler Rodriguez, swinging a miss on the low fastball. Both of these pitchers are just going to continue to pitch low because that's what everybody's swinging at. Through 5, game remains scoreless. As good as both of these pitchers have been, and they have been fantastic, but man, these two offenses are not doing themselves any favors. Azocar to first. Murakami makes the play. He will dive to the base and gets the out. What a play at first base by Munetaka Murakami to make a really nice snag. And then you knows it's going to be closed. Azocar's fast, so he's able to slide to the base and get the out. Some top-notch defense by Munetaka Murakami. That'll bring up Ronald Acuna here with 2 away. And this ball is hit well into center. Lee at the track, at the wall. It's gone! And Atlanta is the first to score here in the 6th inning. A solo home run by Ronald Acuna, his 2nd of the postseason. It's been a rough month of October for Acuna, but when the Braves need a big swing from him, he delivers. Atlanta up 1-0. It took over 5 innings for anybody to score, but it finally happens. Austin Riley now 2-2, swinging a miss on the fastball. Braves on the board, though, with the homer by Acuna, and they lead it 1-0. Our offense still is looking for its first hit. We don't have a single one today. Donovan into foul territory. It is caught by O'Neal Cruz for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Rogers. This one is crushed into right, but it is foul. The no-hitter and shutout nearly came to a close. Rogers has given us some big home runs. None would have been bigger than that one, and sure enough, the next pitch he swings at a pitch that was well outside the strike zone. Yikes. Not even Jung-Hoo Lee is hitting today, but he does get a walk here, so at the very least he's able to get on. But that's not going to matter if we're not able to hit the ball. Let's see if we can get something here from Ian Happ. 1-2. Pops it up into center. It's hit fairly well, but in no danger of dropping. Jose Azocar makes the play. 6 no-hit innings for Shane Bieber. Atlanta needed him to look like the MVP tonight, and with how poorly their offense has been, he's had to have an MVP-like level for Atlanta to have the lead, and well, sure enough, he's looked like the MVP as he gets Ozzie Albies to go down on the circle change. 2 away now for Teoscar Hernandez. with Harrison now at 120 pitches as Hernandez draws a walk. And this is where we're going to take Kyle Harrison out of the game. He was brilliant in this one, and if we do end up losing, no blame should be put on to Kyle Harrison. He was phenomenal. We needed our top two pitchers to deliver today, and both Sandy Alcantara and Kyle Harrison have pitched A-plus games. The problem is the offense hasn't done enough to back them up. At least in the first game, though, we were able to hit some home runs and get some scores that way. Today, well, obviously we have not been close to hitting home runs, as JoJo Romero will come into the game to replace him. 0 earned runs allowed in the postseason. He actually hasn't allowed a hit either, and a strikeout rate at 65%. That's pretty dominant. And Murphy, surprisingly, does not strike out, but he will ground out to shortstop, and JoJo Romero gets out of the inning. The play that we have gotten from our back end of the bullpen this playoff run has been absolutely spectacular, but it won't matter today if we don't get some hits. Murakami up the middle. There it is! Finally! Hit number 1. It took us all the way to the bottom of the 7th, but in a game that's this close, better late than never, and it's Murakami, who's had a rough postseason. He's the one who makes the play. Sable's got a full count here, looking to join Murakami on base, and he will. Draws a walk, and here we go. We've got 2 runners on and nobody out. This is the chance to strike. It's been a rough postseason for Stone Garrett. He can change the narrative right here. Ahead 3-1, and he puts it on the ground. You have got to be kidding me. Double play! We do get Murakami over to third, but man, that is brutal! And now we need a base hit from Jose Ramirez to drive in this run. 1-1. That one will go for strike 2, a close call. But it is in the zone, and now Ramirez is behind, and Bieber can get a little bit creative. 1-2 pitch on its way with 2 outs. That one is low, and it goes for ball 2. Bieber's now over 120 pitches. The Braves have had to stay on the Shane train until the wheels fall off, and it doesn't look like they're falling here. Ramirez grounds out to first, and Atlanta makes another play. If we do lose this one 1-0, or by more, we're going to look back to that Stone Garrett at bat as the play where we blew it. We had 2 runners on and nobody out. Here in the 8th, Henderson over to second. Ian Happ charges in, makes a nice play with JoJo Romero still in the game. And JoJo Romero continuing to absolutely obliterate opposing batters. Against Azokar, swinging a miss on the fastball. Through 7+ postseason innings, Romero has allowed 0 hits and has struck out 14 batters. Is that good? I think that's pretty good. Shane Bieber's night is over, and it's time for the Braves back end of the bullpen to look to finish off the job. The 2027 reliever of the year, Evan Phillips, here in the 8th, and most likely this year's reliever of the year, Emmanuel Clase, for the 9th. As Rodriguez swings at a pitch a little bit outside the zone. That one was coming in close. I don't entirely blame him. I thought that was just a really nice pitch by Phillips. Hackman off the bench. Lines it into right, and it is caught by Acuna for out number 2. We really might not get a single run in this game. Rogers now skies it into center. Azokar will be under it. Evan Phillips does his job. He retires the side. As it remains 1-0 going into the 9th. We've got a decision to make pitching-wise, and I'm going to put my eggs in the basket of coming back in this game. We're only down by 1. I know the offense has been a disaster, but it's possible. Felix Bautista is coming into the game. Bautista's been pretty much just as good as JoJo throughout the postseason, as hard as that is to believe. As Acuna grounds it to third, Murakami makes the play for out number 1. Austin Riley, swinging a miss on the fastball. There's 2. That's going to send up the number 5 hitter, Ozzie Albies. Count is full. 3-2 on the way. Swinging a miss again! The Braves, here in 9 innings, have scored 1 run off of 3 hits. If you told me that was the case coming into today, I would say we are celebrating to go to the World Series right now. But obviously that's not the case. Emmanuel Clase is in for the save here in the 9th, but all hope is not lost. I hope you guys paid attention to the 3 guys due up. Lee, Happ, and Murakami. Those are the best 3 hitters on the roster. If anybody's going to be able to deliver, I would hope it's this crew. We'll start with Jung-Hoo Lee. 1-1, swinging a miss. on the slider. That pitch had some nasty movement. We've got to get Lee on base. He's been so good throughout the postseason. 1-2 pitch. He lines this one well into right, and it will be caught by Ronald Acuna. That'll bring up Ian Happ now. Finds himself ahead early, 2-1. All he's got to do is get on base, and he will not be doing that. Pops it up, slams the bat in frustration. Albies makes the grab for out number 2, and this game will come down to Munetaka Murakami. Has not had a good postseason, but he's the only guy who's shown up for us today. He has our only hit. He's also drawn a walk. We can't really get mad at him for how he's played because he's gotten on base twice. Looks at the fastball for ball 2. The key for him, again, is to just not try to do too much. Just get on base. That's got to be the goal. We don't have to swing for the fences. Looks at the inside cutter. Murakami's ahead 3-1, and Clase's probably going to have to throw a strike. So the count is 3-1. It is a strike. Grounded hard to second. Albies makes the play, and we are headed to a Game 7. The Atlanta Braves take Game 6 on the road by the final score of 1-0. 4 combined hits by both teams today. Kyle Harrison and Shane Bieber put on an absolute show. But it is Atlanta who hangs on to keep their season alive. In the most important game of the year, our offense blows it. We got 1 hit in this game. And it's not even like we hit the ball well and they were making nice defensive plays. It's not like we had 2 or 3 balls go to the warning track. No, we just did not hit the ball well flat out the entire game, whether it was Bieber on the mound or one of their relievers. Now, granted, those are some of the best pitchers in baseball, but that's who you're going to see in the playoffs. The best teams and the best players are going to be your matchups, and at some point you've got to deliver, and nobody did for us today. The same can be said for Atlanta. Outside of the home run by Ronald Acuna in the 6th inning, their offense was equally as putrid as ours was. But in baseball, all it takes is one swing to completely change the outlook of the game, and that's exactly what the home run by Acuna did. Shane Bieber was unbelievable. The Braves needed him to pitch like the MVP tonight. If he had allowed 2 runs, they would have lost the game. Kyle Harrison was outstanding. He is not to blame for this loss. The bullpen was great as well. We have ran Romero and Bautista into the ground, it feels like, as of recent, which is not ideal because we're going to need both of them in Game 7, and we've got a decision to make. It would probably make the most sense to start Fernando Molina, who has been awesome for us all year, but he has not really ever had a great postseason start yet. So we're going to probably rely on the bullpen a lot. We haven't needed Yariel Rodriguez too much recently, but I would expect we're going to get 2 or 3 innings out of him in Game 7. The rest of the bullpen's been phenomenal. Romero and Bautista have been the headliners, but it's not just them. Everybody else is delivering, and we're going to need everybody to show up in Game 7. It's all hands on deck. J.P. Crawford is healthy. He cannot be added to the postseason roster for this game, though, but if we do make the World Series, he would theoretically be available, but we've got to get there. Spencer Strider, Fernando Molina, Game 7, coming within the next couple of days. I hope you guys are ready, where somebody will advance to the World Series. Can we finally get over our kryptonite, and will the offense wake up? Hope everyone enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.